nothing more than an expiration. Maybe that's why it was so easy for me to accept what they'd told me. As for the others, I could tell they weren't as accepting. They could try to hide it, but the signs were there. Take the guy sitting next to me, for example. Look at his eyes, aimed down at the table. That's not a man comfortable with the fate he's been given. Now look at the lady across from me. Do you see the way she's looking around the room? That's uncertainty. But let's listen to the girl with the attitude sitting on her right. She's definitely got something to say.
You guys ever seen them?
We all knew what he was talking about. Problem was, nobody knew who they were, let alone what they looked like.
Maybe we're not meant to.
Well, that's just bullshit.
Maybe that was true, but it didn't change what we already knew.
Attention. This is a message from your government. We would like to formally welcome you to the selection. Gabriella, Lindsay, Jessica, and Dylan. We hope that you have had time to become properly acquainted. However, now we demand silence as we explain the next step. As you know, you are all here because you were chosen. Congratulations. It is an honor that everyone in society should feel honored to receive. In 2 weeks' time, you will all arrive outside the Central Assembly Office Building. You will be escorted inside by one of our attendants and taken to an injection room. Further instruction will be relayed upon your arrival. As for now, we invite you to talk with your fellow chosen. Thank you for your cooperation.
I don't want to die.
Newsflash, I don't think any of us want to die. Isn't that the whole point?
I don't think there's a point to dying, but it still happens every day. And once we're gone, another batch of chosen ones will receive the same unlucky notice.
Yeah? You sound like you know an awful lot about it.
What's that supposed to mean?
Whoa, I didn't mean anything by it. I just thought you were one of those smart bastards that thinks she knows everything just because she's got a college degree or something.
And what's the point of that?
Just saying, I figured you were one of them.
What difference would it make if I were? I'd still die just like all of you.
Just seems kind of strange, you know, for them to kill one of their own.
I don't work for them if that's what you're insinuating.
Look, I ain't saying anything.
I've been chosen just like all of you. And I'm gonna die just like all of you.
This isn't how it's supposed to happen. It's not fair.
Why are you so surprised? Because you didn't get another year or two? Death is inevitable. If it were based on fairness, none of us would ever die.
So you are an academic. What good will that do you in 2 weeks?
Maybe we shouldn't be talking about them. They might be listening.
So what? Are they going to kill us a few days earlier than scheduled if we speak up? It's their fault anyways that we have to go through all of this.
Attention, this is the final call for curfew. All dissidents will be dealt with accordingly.
So what do they want us to talk about now? How good work was?
I think they're giving us a chance to talk about what's going to happen.
You mean getting pumped full of poison?
Shut up! We don't need someone like you to make it worse.
What am I doing wrong? They want us to talk, but how can we talk about anything else? We can't just ignore it.
Maybe we're supposed to talk about how this is a good thing.
But it's obviously not.
The government says that it is. And what do they have to gain by lying to us? Maybe the population's too big, or maybe we've done something wrong.
Well, that's one hell of an observation, but I'm a perfect saint. I've never done anything wrong. They might have thousands of rules, but I've done my part and obeyed every single one of them, no matter how trivial they seemed.
The whole selection process is probably random. I mean, what do any of us have in common?
Maybe we could figure it out.
What do you mean?
I mean, let's talk and see if we can figure it out for ourselves.
Right. Is anyone here a criminal?
That's not what I meant.
Why not, though? Maybe it could be a valid reason why one of us is here.
Nobody is going to confess their sins to a room full of strangers.
Or maybe that's not the reason.
The government wouldn't be so merciful to criminals.
Are you serious? You call what we're going through merciful?
It's the way of our society. It wouldn't happen any other way.
Exactly. It's their way, and it's wrong.
Let's just talk about something else.
Okay, suppose it is random then. What's everyone's story?
Just what we need, a good dose of nostalgia.
I'm a teacher. I teach first grade right here in the Capitol.
And I work in the government buildings.
I guess I was wrong about the academic. I'm sorry about that. I guess you're not the rat after all.
I didn't ask for your opinion of me.
Well, you got it anyway. Really? So this is what you all want to do?
You don't have to participate.
Oh no, what a great slight on my part if I didn't participate. You want to know my story? Fine. I own a nice mechanic shop right here in the Capitol.
I work at the university. I teach a freshman seminar on psychology.
I've never heard a more apt description in my entire life.
So, it looks like there's nothing really that remarkable about any of us. Maybe it was a random selection after all.
The government has a plan. They always do.
Please, if your precious government was as organized as you claimed, then there wouldn't be a single problem in our society.
Of course a cynic like you would find a problem where there are none.
Are you blind? Just last night, a woman was raped in her own home by a group of men calling themselves the League of Superiors or whatever. You call that problem-free?
And the government dealt with them accordingly.
You must work for the government because you give some damn fine political answers.
Crime is inherent in any society. Without it, there wouldn't even be a need for a government.
Oh, thanks, Sophocles, for that great philosophical insight. How come academics love to give answers that sound like they mean something, but don't actually mean anything?
What was so hard for you to understand?
Great, we've got a smartass in the group. Maybe that's why the government chose you.
I think we decided that they didn't choose any of us. This was a random selection.
Whatever. I don't trust the government anyway.
Our government works in the best interest of its citizens.
Dude, if you honestly believe that, then you're brainwashed or something.
And you must be one of those conservative bastards who thinks that the old way was better. In case you've forgotten, the old way was morally bankrupt and corrupt in every single way. Our new system, it's designed to correct the flaws of the old. It's designed to better the lives of our citizens, to promote an honest way of leading our society.
You sound like a walking advertisement, like one of those propaganda pieces they show on TV. I'm suddenly on her side.
Let's talk about something else. What do you think happens after all of this? What happens when we die?
Nothing. There's nothing after we die. It's the end, period.
You really are an asshole.
Why? Because unlike you, I'm not afraid to die?
It's perfectly natural to believe in a higher order. Why is it so hard to fathom that after death comes the afterlife? Everyone has their own version.
I hear the afterlife is kind of like paradise.
Religious nut?
I like to believe that too. I think that there's someone who put us all into this world, and that same person is just taking us out of it. He has a bigger place for us, somewhere beyond what we can see.
What do you think, great professor? You no doubt have a lot to say about it.
It's an interesting debate, and there are many theories out there. Religion promises us paradise after death. Less inclined believers like to think of it as a complete end. Of course, I also have my own personal opinions. Paradoxically speaking, death is one of the most interesting things about life. There are many insightful ideas about death and dying, but no one can actually agree on what it means to die. We can't talk to the dead, and we certainly can't bring the dead back to life, so why do we bother so much with death? Is it because of its inevitability, or is it something more?
So what are you trying to say?
Do you know the name Gabriella? It's the female version of Gabriel, and in the Bible, Gabriel was an angel entrusted by God to deliver important messages. One time, he appeared before the prophet Daniel as a man. Daniel had a vision, but had no idea what he was supposed to do. Gabriel explained what Daniel's vision meant, offering Daniel a meaning to something that was impossible to explain.
Just what I thought. She's got nothing meaningful to say.
I have plenty to say.
Then say it.
Could it be that each of us, in our own little ways, secretly craves death? We may not realize it, but death is always on our minds. We're constantly reminded of it in some capacity.
The ones who are chosen in our society, handpicked to die by the government, they know the exact time, date, and place where their life will end.
We read about their stories and we wonder when the same thing will happen to us. It's an endless game of doubt, a game in which we're all willing players. So, here's what I have to offer. Humans are born to die because we are exactly what death embodies. A perfectly suitable end to the gift of life that nobody deserves. We can never know what death will bring us because we're not meant to know. But it's that uncertainty that tests us and brings out the worst in us. You've all, in this one conversation, contributed more to life than you'll ever know.
Now, if that's not the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard, then I don't know what is.
You asked for my thoughts, so I gave them to you.
But you didn't really tell us anything. Do you think there's something after we die?
Hey, if you don't understand what I said, that's your own fault. I can't tell you what you really want to know.
I don't know where you were educated, young lady, but those sound like the words of a traitor.
A heretic.
This is getting us nowhere. I don't even know what we're supposed to be doing. This is a perfect example of government hypocrisy, just expecting us to fall in line with whatever they're doing.
Maybe they've left it up to us to decide.
Would you just shut the hell up already?
You're one to talk. You seem to have an opinion on everything.
Is that what you think?
She's not wrong. I mean, you haven't stopped talking since this whole thing started, and we're all thinking it.
I think in that moment, they all realized the futility of what we were doing. They all had different things to say, but nobody else wanted to hear them. It became background noise, the arguing, the crying, all of it coming together like something perfectly nonsensical. But I guess that's to be expected. Someone like Jessica could put on a brave face, but they were all scared. They just showed it in very different ways. I've always found it interesting. The change that overcomes someone when their own little world is suddenly disrupted. They aren't sure how to handle it, so they lash out in the worst way. It's actually pretty pathetic, but what else is to be expected out of human nature? The most interesting thing about this whole situation is that I know the government has bigger intentions than just telling us to talk about our deaths. They have to be watching this, considering it the way they're inclined to do. They might even be laughing at our expense, watching the very fabric of human civility break down in the face of danger. It's sickening, really, when you think about it like that. Well, I'm no extremist like Jessica, and I'm sure as hell no conformist like the stooge sitting next to me, but I do have personal theories about the government. What better opportunity than this perfect chaos to put them to the test?
Following observations are made in light of the unexpected events that occurred late last year during our mandatory social experiment. The results have come back indeterminate. The behavioral choices of Subject A are simply an anomaly and have been resolved.